Good morning, everyone. My name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game, also known as the Players Rep, here to educate and empower, protect the athlete and the family's best interests alone. Today is Monday, May the 15th, 2018, and I do this broadcast and this podcast as Pre-Post Game Podcast, sponsored by the African American Athlete. As you guys know, we normally do this on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but there's so much going on in the sports business today. I actually cleared my calendar today to do this podcast because in my life as a former high school, collegiate, professional athlete, and now in the business of protecting athletes and their families, this may be, and I believe so, will be the most important post live that I do in my life. And it's also basically meaning the most important thing that I can share with people, athletes, the parents of the athlete, the advocates of the athlete, and those that support the athlete in business. To really understand where we at in this world regarding today's sports society. As you see on the actual pin, the topics we're going to cover, which they are plentiful. Obviously, again, the NCAA regarding their meetings pertaining to paying athletes and through endorsements and things of that nature. So I'm going to go jump right into it. For more information, obviously, you can follow us at prepostgame.com. You specifically follow me at the Players Rep 1 on Twitter, the Players Rep 1 on Instagram. So, athletes and getting paid in the NCAA. 3 years ago, before pre-post game was formulated, many people thought I was crazy to say that athletes need to be paid, but we went out our way to continue to work with our colleagues to show that in any business, when you are generating revenue and a revenue stream is being derived to go in certain places, the person that actually generating the revenue always gets compensated for it. Now, going back to those proponents that say that collegiate athletes are getting free education. Once again, I challenge anyone in the education business, university, NCAA, any highly rated athlete in today's market, 3, 4, 5 star, show me just one athlete that's utilizing their free education regarding business or job at this time. Meaning, if you got paid or a scholarship, if you will, and now you're working in society in America, and you are working a job with 6 or 7 figures, and I'll show you that pig that flies. So once again, it's okay to say these things. We talk about these kids getting meals and getting books and getting gear to wear, and then again, the proponents of those that say they shouldn't get paid say, well, hey, let them get work like everybody else because I had to pay student loans and scholarships. You're not generating revenue for the university. You're not bringing any money into that school. Those athletes actually help your tuition go down. Those athletes are the reason why you can have a bookstore. You can have an extracurricular activity. You can have a water polo team. You can have a collegiate beach volleyball team for those athletes that are generating the revenue, predominantly basketball and football. But once again, you're talking about them getting money from being endorsed. But many people don't understand, when you sign the National Letter of Intent, also known as the NLI, you also sign off on a scholarship giving the NCAA the right to use your likeness and image for monetary value, meaning to make money. You are not required to do that. My mantra is that sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Just like when you go on a recruit trip, if somebody spends 3 years recruiting you, telling you how much they love you, how much they're going to do for you, how much they're going to do this and do that, have them put it in writing to justify what they say. My company specifically set out to do this exact thing. If you went on a recruiting trip, no matter what the school may be, and then all of a sudden you say, okay, well, I want to go to this school. Before you sign a document with that school, have it reviewed by your attorney, by your professional independent arbitrator. The university, the coaches, they are businesses. Part of their plan is when some of these coaches that are going to take jobs at other schools, they are sworn to the university not to tell you as a parent and a kid that they're taking another job. Yet you sign a contract that says that when they leave, you must stay. They punch you in the face and make you like it. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. So for those questions and for those people putting it out there right now, where the athlete can get paid for an endorsements, you understand, and particularly the basketball and football world, what a lot of these one and dones, and in football in particular, only 4 to 5 athletes are going to actually be able to get endorsements anyway. So when they act like they doing those athletes and families a favor by saying, hey, we're going to basically give you a couple dollars off the jersey sales that you're making for us anyway, be happy with it. Once again, another slap in the face. I did a podcast last week about the reality of Alabama football. Nick Saban making $11 million a year. Every player that comes to the University of Alabama is told that they come there, they can be a highly rated draft pick in the NFL. But his words don't back up his actions. In Nick Saban's career since 2007, he's only had 3 top 5 picks. 3. In the quarterback-driven league known as the NFL, Nick Saban has never placed one quarterback in the NFL that got drafted higher than the 3rd round. The best quarterback to ever play at University of Alabama in his era was a guy named A.J. McCarron. Until about 2 months ago, was a backup his entire pro career. Trust the facts, not the process. But yet you paying him $11 million. You pay another strength coach close to $600,000. You pay another assistant $1 million, another assistant $1 million. Yet your top-rated draft pick this year, Minkah Fitzpatrick, didn't even have his insurance policy paid for, which is a plan. It's called a Student Athletic Fund. The NCAA gave the university $73 million in 2013 to go to Student Athletic Fund for things that the kids need that literally they get. Every kid, the 100 kids that go to these actual schools, what people don't understand again about scholarships, 100 players don't play on a football team. Only 44 to about 50. That's in college, that's in pros, that's in high school. Meaning that's the 2 deep. There's 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense. You may have a kicker, a punter, a placeholder. So you're looking at about 14 on that side, and again, the same way. Then you got the backups. The 3rd team does not play. So when you talk about, though, having those guys on the roster, when you have those guys there and you providing food and free education, you're going to get a check from the government. Because you're a 501c not-for-profit organization. But again, you're making profit. You're making profit. So for those who don't know, players have already been getting paid under the NCAA model. The wrestlers, anybody that goes and works and does Olympics, for example, the guy doing an Olympic wrestling team for USA, a young man on Ohio State made a lot of money. A young man on Texas, I believe, made up to $700,000 for performing under the Olympic model. If all things being fair and equal, talk about education, then you would not have different rules that apply to baseball and to hockey, where kids can have agents, they can leave school right early, get drafted right after high school. But you have a one year rule out of high school for basketball, predominantly African American. Have a 3-year out of high school rule for the NFL, predominantly African American. For those people that continue to say, well, yeah, I'm the first African American to go to college in my family. If that is the case today, then you are in a world of hurt. Because the fact of the matter is, this is all business going on right now. So if your athlete's the first one, you need to get and secure some services to protect your best interests and yours alone. Or your kid is likely more than likely to be doomed. It's a simple mathematical equation. So once again, all these things we talk about now, even giving certain athletes the right to use their ability and likeness and image to get money, you still got 100 kids playing the sport. Why can't they get paid? They can get paid. Why are you paying Mark Emmert, the president of the NCAA, $10 million a year? Why are you paying the commissioner of the Big Ten, who had never played the game, a $20 million bonus check? Not his salary, bonus check. Why are you paying someone like Nick Saban $11 million a year and he's 5'6"? He's never experienced anything any of those kids he's coaching that ever been through. Why? I understand the sport better than most because I played it. I see it from both sides of the equation. I understand it's a business from the coaches. I understand it's a business from the NCAA. I understand it's a business from all the people that want to work through the NCAA to do what they got to do to use these kids and these families to make sure they're okay. But who was in the best interest of the athlete? We keep talking about this. 2018. I am providing you a service. Every single person that's watching this live is going to work today. They're going to work. And when they do their job, they're going to get paid for it. No one is going to say at the end of the week, you know what? I read a book. I did something that basically a training that I got. And you know what? I'm going to just supplement that for this education. You can keep the money. I don't need it. We know where half of these kids come from. More than half come from when they go to college. Again, you use this model to basically perform and to push desperation. Well, you're from the hood anyway, so if I don't give you the scholarship, you're going to end up being here the rest of your life. There's no NCAA, there's no college coaches going to any of these actual neighborhoods unless these kids can perform to help them feed their family. They're not doing it out the kindness of their heart. So once again, free education. These kids are putting their bodies, their mind, their futures on the line. And all of them are not going to make it to the pros. However, you got coaches and universities and programs making pro money every year. For without these kids, they don't have a program. They don't have a product. What is a coaching profession without the player? What is a team profession without the coach? What is the league profession without the team? And what is NCAA? What is ESPN? What is NFL Network? What is NBA TV without these guys that can run, jump, shoot, swing, swim, kick, and run? And for those people that keep saying they wish they can do it, you can't do what they do. So once again, that's how business works. Let's talk about leverage. An athlete never has more leverage than when he's young, not when he's old. So you can't come into this college scenario saying, oh, the team. Michigan has that mantra, the team. Those that will stay will be champions. But when you recruited this kid, you tell that kid he will be champions that you haven't been a champion since 1997, where half of them haven't been born yet? Or you just want them to buy into something because it sounds good? This is the facts. Trust the facts, not the process. So when the NCAA once again says they're looking to pay players, that's a blessing. But again, players are already being paid by the runners, by the agents doing things they got no business doing, by the coaches that are being represented by the agents, that when the coach goes on a recruiting trip and then all of a sudden a trainer or a former athlete ends up on campus in front of that same kid, what do you think is going on? All this stuff is tied in. Right now, you got the NFL mini camp going on, and you're going to have the full team camp going on sooner than later. So when that's going on, you also got these camps going on in Rivals, and you got Under Armour, and you got Nike, you got all these different things going on. Who do you think is going to those camps? The future NFL pro players. Who do you think are around those camps? Those agents. You know why? Because now their current clients are in training camp right now. The same thing applies when it comes to the Super Bowl and then going into the National Signing Day in high school. Look at the time. Look at the timeline. The Super Bowl ends in the end of January, early February. The signing day for high school is the first week of February. So when those players are done with the Super Bowl, most of those NFL players are now on vacation. So that allows, again, the next group of agents to harass the up-and-coming kids that are going to be next draft eligible next year, and the next group of kids that's about to sign with the next college. Like clockwork. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. I'll talk about at the end about the alternative method, because college isn't for everyone. But because you aren't going to college doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to maximize your ability on the field as an actual athlete. If you have a certain skill set that people are willing to pay for, you should be able to make that. Because again, this is America, and everybody want to talk about free capitalism and market and trade. But yet when it comes to athletes, or minors if you will, people continue to make rules and decisions on it without the input of the athlete and the family. Without them, you won't have anything. See, we know what this is because again, this happened about 50 years ago. Oh, we gave you clothing. Oh, we gave you food. Oh, we taught you how to read. Did I ask for that? Or did you tell me what I can have and tell me to shut up and like it? Because they had a name for that too. A long time ago. That was abolished. The definition of insanity means doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. The fact of the matter is, numbers 80% of athletes, once they retire, go broke. The fact of the matter, which nobody talks about, is all of these kids that go to NCAA Power 5 conferences and sometime younger, show me again how that free education has benefited them in society. Show me how their degree is being applied to the job market today. Show me how that 4 years of commitment, 3 years of commitment, putting your body in line is warranted by giving you a job that you couldn't have got if you came directly out of high school. It has not changed because, once again, the people that need to make the change is the athlete and the families. It's not fair, but it's factual matter. If you were Mark, what's this guy name? The guy from Facebook, the thing I'm doing right now, Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook at 19 years old. No other student athlete, no other student in college, if you come up with something that you actually make money off of, no one tells you you can't make a certain amount of money. You can't go to become what you want to be, because that's what college essentially is for. But only when it comes to athletes, they tell you, well, you can't do it now. The simple facts of an athlete: your leverage comes when you're young, when you're healthy, when you're productive, and when you're in demand. The older you get, the less value you will become when it comes to the sports business. Everybody else goes to a job. You don't have a life expectancy on your job to perform your job. There are people going to school today that's in their 50s and their 60s. Kids are more mature. People are more mature when they're 24 and 25. So every argument that people make against these kids about paying them makes absolutely no professional or business sense. They're at their height and their peak of football or basketball excellence when they're younger. They cannot maximize the opportunity to make revenue off this sport for a certain amount of time. But yet, the NCAA has found a way continuously to make sure they make the majority of the money of the athlete before they can. No matter if they're going to go to pros or not. Because again, they're making money off of all these kids. It ain't just the top 5 or the 1% of these kids. And they're also putting rules and orders in place where, again, intellectual property. Anybody in America right now can pick any kid they want in the country, and they can go basically sell their jerseys, their t-shirts, their hats, use their name and likeness and image, unless the kid trademarks or brands himself and protects his own intellectual property. You would think going into college that these actually people would teach these kids and in so-called unquote sports management and marketing classes how to protect that, but they don't, because they too busy making money off of their intellectual property. Just a little secret to you guys. There are kids across this country, even those that we have helped in the past, create to build their own brand. Meaning, again, protecting intellectual property is a legal document. It is your God-given right, like the First and the Second Amendment everybody wants to talk about. I don't have to give you the right to use my likeness, my name, my image to make money. And if I don't give it to you, you're not going to take my scholarship, because at the end of the day, I still run faster, jump higher, and hit harder than anybody else that can do it otherwise. You spend 3 to 4 years recruiting me, but yet telling me everything I want to hear, but now I need to know. And then 15 minutes of bullying me to sign a contract that I had no input in it whatsoever. But then you say it's about education. If it was about education, then you wouldn't have rules in place when the kid says, you know what, you're leaving school. And again, talking about putting your own law or your own contract together. If a coach decides to leave and you don't want me to play here, I should be able to go to any school I want to go to. Well, guess what? You can. If you have that done before you sign on to their contract. And if they really want you there, they're going to sign it. If they don't, you go somewhere else. And you know where you should go? Go to their rivals. That's business. That's leverage. Trust the facts, not the process. And as I said earlier, I cleared my schedule for this today because, once again, I'm going to be passionate. I'm going to be articulate. I'm going to be poignant and a matter of fact on my takes on these things, because the biggest thing that I think is about to happen, and again, I'm leaving the NCAA alone right now, but sports gambling being legalized in the United States of America. So for those who don't know, the Supreme Court basically overturned or basically shot down the federal law. Says that, you know, teams and people now can have legalized betting, and it's going to be up to the state. Now, once again, you talk about betting on athletes. Another mantra where you talk about athletes can't bet on themselves, obviously. Their parents can't legally bet on their own kids, but yet everybody else is now going to be able to make money off of the athlete regarding what they do. Now, as a proponent of an athlete and their families and understanding where some of these athletes come from when they're young or even when they're about to retire, the dangers that has been put in place right now, which has already been going on, it's going to be ramped up times 100, that no one ever accounts for and ever want to talk about, because the fact of the matter is, once again, there's a system that we talk about in sports trafficking that puts these young men and women in these dangerous situations. Legalized gambling in states. I'm talking about sources. If you have injuries, if you have certain knowledge about the playbook, like I said again, even in the collegiate level or the pro level, everybody's not going to get on that field. But when right before the draft, you got the ESPN guys or the Adam Schefters of the world or the Ian Rappaport's breaking news, sources say, never want to name those sources. The sources, again, are your coaches that may not want you to leave the school at that time, so they leak something about you they shouldn't. They are your teammates, the guys that is never going to basically be able to play at the pro level, but there's an agent out there telling them, hey, if you'll provide me this information, if you get me this kid, I'll make you an agent down the road. The trainers, the ones that have worked in the National Football League and the NBA, but now working in college, that maintain those relationships with those other people that want inside knowledge and information on these guys' medical records. But on top of that, when it comes to the trainers, don't think for a second, and I strongly advise parents, regardless of the fact, in this business, if you get your son or daughter evaluated for an injury and it happens to go through the university, get a second opinion. It is in your own best interest to do so. Again, on the record, we know for a fact there's been diagnosis about things that literally were not true that affect this kid's draft stock dramatically. Dramatically. Look no further than this year's Michigan Mo Hurst, diagnosed with a heart condition apparently as a freshman. But however, no matter what, over the last 5 years when he's in college, that heart condition, and again, who knows, he could have dropped dead, unfortunately, but at the same time, according to Harvard and Michigan, oh, he's cleared to be fine. Well, you know what? The NFL said that he wasn't. And because the NFL said that he wasn't, when he spent time trying to get to the NFL, a highly rated by Pro Football Focus #1 defensive tackle in the National Football League draft got drafted in the 5th round into California of all places. That's a $9 million loss. Is his agency, is the university looking to reimburse him for what he just lost just now? Or should he continue to trust the process because it's God's plan? Sports is not a game. It's all business. He's a kid. And a kid that deserved better. A kid that deserved to be told what was what. A kid that deserved to be protected in his best interest. You do not hear the university speaking on his behalf. You don't hear his agency speaking on his behalf how you guys got it wrong. Because he is one of another. And one of another. And we wish that young man success on and off the field. But that starts with a young man understanding that this is a short-lived career. And you can't recoup money that you lose, you can't get back. So under the NCAA model, pushing him after he spent most of his best years, if you will, as a collegiate athlete, only to have that come back and cost him $8 to $9 million going into his pro career. Now I know a lot of people in this industry okay with that, because that's how it's been for decades. Pre-post game not okay with that. Me personally, the Robert T. Green, the players rep, is not okay with that. But most importantly, the parents and the athletes that go through this daily should not be okay with that. So going back to those sources, legalized gambling and betting. And this is, you might as well call this a rated R or PG. You have females now. You have everybody, you got these guys in the schools that's claiming to be mentors that are literally trafficking these kids to certain sports agencies and certain sports advisors. Young man, they recently got drafted, all of a sudden looking to invest and talk to certain financial advisors, which he don't understand. He don't know the difference between an investment advisor, a broker, what an ADV stands for, a fend security license, how many series licenses he has, and things of that nature. Yet, this young man is about to sign over money to this guy. And it was brought to our attention, but the fact of the matter, the point I want to make is this advisor who was just disbarred from his actual place of business in January was also just found out to have a disclosure as of 4/23/18 for misrepresenting himself and not divulging information to a client who was in the NFL, and yet this guy who just signed with him has no idea. Zero. Because he trusts the process. This man that he met, he believed that having his best interest, he met him at the Reese's Pieces Senior Bowl. And I'm dropping names and I'm saying things. At the end of the day, two things are going to happen. People are either going to start to recognize and clean some of this stuff up, or you're going to start to lose business, and you're going to know why. I mentioned Alabama won the national championship, and it's the 7th ranked recruiting class in the country. The NFL is a quarterback-driven league, but the best coach in college football has never produced a quarterback. 1 + 1 is still 2. You can't claim to be the best, and you haven't done nothing to say that you're the best. Your first pick in your national championship team was 11th pick overall. Some of the best kids on your roster were drafted in the 4th and 5th round, when you got kids being drafted from Nevada, UTEP, and South Carolina State as the first 3 picks of the 2nd round of 2018 NFL draft. And let's just say, for guys off recent, like the 2019 NFL mock draft, why should any kid that's rated to be a 1st round pick in the 2019 NFL draft take another snap for college? Why shouldn't they go prepare for their future? Why shouldn't they go learn the business they're going to be in? Because the fact of the matter is, to a man, the NFL can tell you whether they want to tell you or not. Every single one of those kids, at the 70% of the clip, it is what it is, they don't have to play in their college. They don't have to generate another dime for that university. And they'll still be top 30 picks next year. Businessmen would do just that. Why would I take all the risk? You're not putting in and providing the proper insurance coverage to provide my family and my body protections that I need. Oh, that's right. Team. You got these kids to buy into the team, while you get all the revenue. When you speak of free education, yet you can't even point to a person who has been successful in that free education. You can't get one athlete on record to talk about and show how that free education benefited them in the time they were school and how they applying that to society today. Not one. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. To recap, this pre-post game podcast is sponsored by the African American Athlete. Check these guys out, especially tonight, Tuesday, from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hosted by Mr. Ricky Hampton and Mr. Michael Robinson. I am Robert T. Green, I'm the players rep. I'm also here to educate and empower, protect the athletes and the family's best interests alone. I'm also the CEO of a sports business management advisory transition succession firm called Pre-Post Game. We're discussing what's going on and the ramifications of legalizing betting based off the state. For the gentlemen, for the guys that played in the National Football League, the NBA, MLB, NHL, who are on their last legs, who didn't make all of that money, what's to stop them from leaking this same information to these gamblers and bettors for a kickback or a referral? What's to stop these coaches that are being represented by these actual agents in college that, again, are leading these young men to these agencies not to get inside information for them to bet? Not just them themselves, but that's what runners are for. The runner will bet for them off the inside information. For the athletes on his last legs, who's to say he won't miss a free throw, a jump shot, miss a tackle? And then you're going to want to say, oh, we should put him in jail. Because again, at the end of the day, he shouldn't be doing that. Or did you set him up to do that? By not evaluating the advisors, by not keeping some of these runners away from these kids, by not recognizing that since these kids became 9th and 10th grade, that there are a certain amount of people that are looking to prey on their not being naive, them being unprepared or unprepared to understand the business that they're in. Who's holding you accountable? I know we are. I mentioned again, national championship, 7th ranked recruiting class, quarterback-driven league, never produced a quarterback. That keeps up, win another national championship. You'll be 11th ranked recruits class. Sports is not a game. It is all business. So people, you got to understand, when people come up to you and I talk about the term stage relationships and sports trafficking, this new rule has now ramped that up times 1,000. And I'm only one man. My company's only one company. And I do this podcast not because, again, I have nothing else better to do, because I really want to help those that can help themselves. My company is fine. I'm going to be all right. When I wake up every morning, I don't wake up trying to figure out how can I appease someone or make them feel good about who I am. As a former athlete, that's what we were trained to do, no matter what it was. And again, talk about that term coach. Everybody's not qualified to be a coach. When you sign over your documentation to NLI or college scholarship, you did not turn your kid over to them to be raised and treated like without any dignity and like pieces of meat. What athletes never talk about on record or on camera, because it's a form of gladiator, being a gladiator and feeling tough, is that if a man berates me every day, tell me I'm not worth the skin that I have on my body, that does something to you. But you can't tell your mama. If you tell your mama, then your teammates look at you funny, then they look at you funny. Then all of a sudden you feel bad about yourself. If I said my name was Coach Pedophile, but I won 2 straight championships out in such and such, people look the other way. Because fandom is that crazy in this country and abroad. And again, it's not like I'm making this stuff up. Look at Michigan State. You're talking about Dr. Larry Nassar, who went away with all those girls. He did what he did to them. But yet, you act like he's the only person around these females. And for those who don't know, the NCAA said that no NCAA violation happened under their watch. I guess the same thing that happened to Penn State with Joe Paterno and Jerry Sandusky. So you can't really be in the sports business if you don't know the history of the business, because you're doomed to repeat it. Again, definition called insanity. So, my next topic, Nick Bosa tweets. For those of you guys that don't know, Nick Bosa, who by all accounts out of his own mouth is a Donald Trump supporter, a person that is pro-Republican, but he's also said some things that not necessarily as a kid, that is a public figure representing of a university, that you would want to see have happen. He is projected as of right now as a highly rated top draft pick in 2019 NFL draft. And when you talk about, again, sports is not a game, sports is all business. When a lot of teams in the NFL talk about they don't want distractions on their team, this situation is going to be put when the rubber meets the road. Obviously, Mr. Colin Kaepernick took a knee, but when I told people before that the NFL and their model and their business said they don't want their employees, again, because that's what it is, taking a knee. Colin has a right to take the knee and not have a job. He has the right to stand up and keep the job. But the same thing should apply and needs to apply to Nick Bosa. If you're going to say things where you know whether you like Black Panther or not, if you recognize that that movie sold $1 billion worth of movies and it was 95% predominantly African American, if you're going to put your lips together and your tongue to slide and say that it was a horrible movie, then you have to be prepared as a public figure to get the responses that you're getting. If you're going to use your social media platform to express your political beliefs and what you want to do, then you have to be prepared to deal with everything else like anybody else. Now, whether I agree with Mr. Bosa or not, that's not the point. The point is, I'm talking to all athletes, because again, the moment someone is willing to pay to watch you play, you are a professional athlete. Because the NCAA don't want to deem you that does not make it what it is. Now, if you're a team that is in a predominantly African American athlete community in the 2019 draft, and you are a top pick, meaning, okay, if it's Atlanta or Baltimore, New York, the Jets, the Giants, Washington, D.C., Detroit, you as a general manager and owners have to take a strong consideration on what this kid may or may not say. If you feel like what he's saying is okay and don't feel like Colin Kaepernick taking the knee is okay, you once again, as a league, have shown yourself to be who you are and cannot expect the players to respect or comply or conform to anything you say going forward. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Once again, as a business owner and a businessman, if I was working with or for Mr. Nick Bosa, I believe in free speech. I believe in you being who you are and who you want to be. But once again, do not become thin-skinned when somebody attacks you on the merit of which you put yourself out there to be. If he likes Donald Trump, so be it. That's his business. If he doesn't like Black Panther, so be it. That's his business. But for a person who never even, as he said after the fact, ever seen all these Marvel movies and comics, to make a statement that is the worst all time, you brought this upon yourself. So you might need to take public speaking classes with their free education they're giving you at The Ohio State University. But wait, who's the coach there? Okay. Who is this coach? Has he ever had any other players that had any type of controversial situations in their life? A name, Aaron Hernandez, comes to mind. For those who don't know, he also was the first person that was coaching Cam Newton. There's another guy named, a couple guys named the Pouncey brothers. It's a guy that said the N-word at a rally named Riley Cooper. The best quarterback in history of the Big Ten was recently arrested a year and a half ago for DUI. His national championship quarterback says that he's not there to get education. His education is football. So once again, these are kids. Nick Bosa is a kid. Public figure, professional, yes, but yet and still a kid. And so how we continue to attack these kids and what they do and how they do it, and yet let these coaches continue to make $7, $8, $9, $10 million a year is beyond me. But again, word to wise to all athletes going forward. Your social media is your book of business. It is your platform. It is what you're going to be interviewed off of. So understand that the league, the pro sports, the marketing people, they are not about dealing with headline risk. Whether it's right or wrong and different, welcome to corporate America, welcome to capitalism. It is about headline risk. If you cost them headline risk, meaning you can have your opinion, you can do whatever you want to do. However, as long as you play within the lines of not personally attacking a race, a creed, a color, a religion, an ideal, personally, not business, because I'm very careful and I'm very poignant about that. I attack the business of what's going on and the results of that business. That means that lets me know how it needs to change going forward. Like I said, when I mentioned those 5 or 6 kids that came through, I got to look at, well, where did they come from? Is it that university? Or is the person that went from one university, from the University of Florida to Ohio State, and the results remain the same? Did I mention Ezekiel Elliott? Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Trust the facts, not the process. And that's when leads me to this, the integrity of sports. There's so many people that talk about, in the leagues talking about with the sports gambling, about the integrity of the sports, but yet you don't know what goes into the sport. Fans don't understand what these kids and these athletes go through behind the scenes. Young man who publicly put out there the other day, Arden Key from LSU, who at one point was a potential top 10 pick. They got drafted in the 3rd round by the Oakland Raiders. I pray for this young man because in 2 years or less, he's going to be in Las Vegas. But the man said on his own Twitter page, drug addiction, potentially prison. What was going on in college that none of this stuff came out to help this young man? This young man was still allowed to play for that university. He was still allowed to be out there to get their tickets sold. When it was time for that young man to collect a check, all these things came out to hurt him, Darius Geis, and Kevin Tolliver. Oh, by the way, which are all Les Miles recruits. So, again, a lesson to teach people, again, and this, like I said, this is the most important day of my life, so I'm going to leave this on the record. It could be my eulogy, it could be my whatever you want to call it. When a coach, and again, I'm gonna use my example too from my history. So I'll backtrack. Don Brown is currently the Michigan defensive coordinator. He is, by all accounts, the best defensive coordinator in the entire country by many, many people. I was recruited by Coach Brown many, many years ago, almost 20 years ago. I was offered a scholarship by Coach Brown almost 20 years ago. I, at that time, was a highly rated athlete from the JUCO. Once again, in junior college, I was homeless, but I was still highly rated. I had offers and potential to go to NC State, Clemson, Wisconsin, etc. Coach Brown, being who he is, for no Coach Brown comes to the JUCO office and says, hey, I'm looking for the best cornerback in America. I'm a gladiator. I'm a confident athlete. I know what my game is. I'm 6'1". I'm 190 pounds. I run a 4.49. I bench press 365. I do 225 18 times. I am the best. He says that. Now automatically I start to believe what Coach Brown says. You come here. You can go to the National Football League. You don't have to go to D1. You play in the scheme. You have long arms and fits and things like that. So I bought into it. Long story short, felt so good. Never felt like that before in my life. I commit. I go to the University of Massachusetts. Spring ball, everything is going great. I'm doing what I got to do. Summertime, I go back to New York. I get a phone call from my safety. He says, hey, he's gone. Like, well, he gone where? The vacation? I said, no, he's gone. No phone call to me, to my teammates. The 12 recruits that Coach Brown, again, by all accounts, he hasn't changed anything. I've seen the mat things that they doing now, the mat room flips. They were doing that 15, 20 years ago. The only difference is when they doing it now, they get water and training and Gatorade and ice. When they did it to us, they had us outside in 33 degree weather and then put us inside a little mat room, 100 plus of us sweating so we all can die from pneumonia without drinking water. That's how this whole sports thing changed. Because you're not tough enough to drink water. Anyway, back to the story. So, those 12 recruits that Coach Brown brought there, highly rated recruits, I happen to be one. I had recruits that came to play the same position, transferred to the University of Auburn because Coach Brown was there. They were going to back me up regardless, which they did. Word came out that because Coach Brown left because he wanted the job, he wanted to be guaranteed a job if the other coach that was the head coach was to leave. Apparently that didn't happen, so he left. When that happened, it became that coach is livid. He's mad at Coach Brown. Now, all of these 12 kids that are just trying to live their life and be successful and do what they can to be successful are now expendable. We don't want Coach Brown to be the recruiting that he is. We don't want Coach Brown to be successful. We don't want to be known that Coach Brown is a great guy and a great recruiter. So we're going to make sure these 12 guys have a horrible situation. Those 12 young men, including myself, did not graduate, did not finish at that university. Just like the head coach ensured they wouldn't happen. But in my specific case, I was injured. I had a high ankle sprain. High ankle sprain means you can't run doing it as a cornerback. I'm also predominantly a great press corner. So once again, when you're a press corner, you get up on the line of scrimmage, you jam guys, you run with them. A high ankle sprain and a press corner, okay, don't practice all week. Come a game, we're playing against a 5-star team. 5 wide receiver team, I apologize. Say, hey, we need you to play, Robert. We need you to play. It's for the team. We need you to play. By the way, I can't coach. I ain't practice all week. My leg is killing me. Don't worry. We're going to give you something. Shoots me up with cortisone. I'm flying like a kite now. I don't know what that is. Don't explain what the result's going to be. Nothing. Stabs me in the ankle. Then right before the game, all right, fine. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to jam the guy. I'm going to do what I do. No pain, no feel, nothing right now. Defensive back coach tells me to play off. I find out 15 years later, the defense coordinator comes to tell Robert to play off. I get roasted like I ain't never been roasted in my life. As a corner who don't get beaten, prides himself on being great and preparing, I was embarrassed. I was hurt. I was distraught. The people in the stands watching the game don't know I had a high ankle sprain. They don't know that I had a cortisone shot. They don't know I was told to play off, to be exposed. I got booed. I got yelled at. And then on the next day, I got sat down and told, hey, you're not the Rob Green that we remembered. Rob Green would have made that play. So then I was made to feel bad about myself and what I was doing. And then literally I ended up leaving. So if you want to get rid of a kid, talking about, again, sports betting, how you dictate a game, how you dictate certain circumstances, how you dictate what the outcome is going to be. I just gave you a first-hand experience situation. That leads me back to my point to LSU. When coaches get fired, part of the game is, hey, you know what? We don't really necessarily want the last coach recruiting class to be successful, because that now will make our decision to fire him to look bad. Kevin Tolliver, 5-star recruit, 6'2", tallest corner in his draft, potential first-round pick, first-round talent, who is doing great right now, exceptional things right now for the Chicago Bears. Darius Geis, Les Miles recruit. Character issues. Never been arrested, but character issues. And there's one other gentleman. I can't really think of the top of my head right now. But they all fell lower than they was expected to be. Now, that justifies Les Miles being fired, right? And when it comes to coaches, now they can say, well, we couldn't win because we had these other guys as our recruits. Look at their record. Look what happened. They didn't get drafted that high. We told you they wasn't that good. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Athletes can and are set up for failure every day of the week. Unbeknown to their parents, unbeknown to the players, unbeknown to the fans. Once again, you're talking integrity of the game. The athletes play as hard as they can, do as best as they can. When your business model is set up to recruit athletes when their parents aren't involved by using women, drugs, and alcohol, and then when these young men have all these vices and these issues, and yet again, you continue to look the other way, collect government funding to ignore the fact that they have a lot of injury risk, put things in place to avoid them from being able to leave to pursue their true dreams, to do things that literally set them up to not be able to make money off of who they are, and to slap clothing on them and food in their mouth and tell them to like it because we're giving you free education. There's no integrity in that. Zero. Just like now that since this happened, all the leagues want to get their piece of the pie. Are the players union getting involved and say, hey, if you guys are going to get money in legalized gambling, where is the player going to benefit from that? Oh, they can't, because they can't have any parts of that, because we got to maintain the integrity of the game. The most important podcast live in my life. Trust the facts, not the process. Going all the way down to we talk about these so-called runners that are now labeling themselves as mentors and having certain football camps and want these other guys to come back from the pros and tell them they know somebody and connected them to this financial advisor and this agent and this marketing person for all kickbacks and referrals and everything else that goes under the sun, and then got the audacity and nerve to go into school and call themselves mentors, but yet the only time they take a picture with this kid, is when they on the football field or the basketball court or something that's bringing attention to them. It's disgusting. Those guys never want to see me and my company come around. Because when you label yourself a mentor, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, how have you mentored this kid? Oh, I take him to the movies, or I went to his game and I help him run the hills in the summer. You a trainer. Oh, I helped him meet this person. If this kid is talented enough, he gonna meet everybody he needs to meet. You're a runner. You're what the agents use to do their dirty business so they don't get caught up. They give you a couple bucks, you take a couple pictures, you feel good about yourself, and they'll get rid of you soon. And by labeling it as AAU and showcase and we got this, you give yourself a certain name and you put all these kids in these jerseys, you put all these kids in these numbers, you number them, and again, 1% only going pro. Show me how many of these programs are actually still working with these kids when they no longer either college eligible or pro eligible. And I'll show you a pig flying with lipstick. Sports trafficking. For that reason alone, pre-post game and my colleagues, and again, we're working on some big things, but one of the things we talk about, college is not for everybody. So we talk about alternative methods. It is a crying shame. We talk about schools like IMG, they got 21 games being played this year. We talk about high school, 21 games. They're also on scholarship. What do you think these kids' coaches are getting coached from? From collegiate and pro coaches. That's business. They're making money off of kids in high school. We know how many kids are going to be pro. 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I know who the 70% of the first round NFL draft picks and NBA draft picks are going to be. So the next time you go to a church or you go to a camp, don't think those around you that's talking to you, smiling in your face, don't know it either. They got plans for you. They got plans for your money. And if you aren't careful, it's gonna end a lot sooner than you think. I had a conversation today. A young man who by all accounts is a good kid, just got picked up by the team to be at the NFL free agent during rookie minicamp. The kid got cut this morning. No guarantee money in that. If that kid no longer makes it back into the league, which again, it can be hard because right now all these rosters are full. Is that university free education going to get this kid a 6-figure job? Or is this kid going to end up right back where he started? Working some youth camps, being a bouncer in the club, being a trainer, being a part of the runners group by using his, oh, I was in the league. No, you wasn't. You got invited to camp. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Again, my name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game. I cleared my schedule today to educate and empower, protect the athlete and the family's best interests. Again, I believe today was my most important live information I could provide to all. I hope it was well received. I hope you guys learned something from it. Again, normally check us out again on the African American Athlete Podcast presented by Pre-Post Game on Wednesdays from 6 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern. Check out Ricky Hampton and Michael Robinson tonight at 10 to 11 p.m. Check us out at prepostgame.com and the Players Rep 1 on Twitter and Players Rep 1 on Instagram. I look forward to continuing to educate you guys and work with you guys in the future. God bless and have a great day.